let's go. The Oklahoma Sooners just landed Michael Boganowski out of Junction City, Kansas. And listen, we saw a lot of you guys tuning in to the college football recruiting show over on 247 Sports. So it was great to catch up with a lot of you there in the chat. So I really want to hear from you here. What are your guys' thoughts around Brent Venables and his staff landing Michael Boganowski? Because coming down the stretch, Oklahoma was really having to go up against Kansas State. You heard a little bit of Florida State in the mix. And although Kansas was listed in the Final Four, a lot of people didn't have Kansas on their radar for Michael Boganowski. So really for Oklahoma, you were fighting Kansas State down the stretch. And you started to see the predictions really flow in for Boganowski over the past week and a half. You saw Steve Wiltfong put his in favor of Boganowski on the 8th of October. Colin Kennedy soon followed as well on the 11th. And then on the 12th and the 11th, and on the 11th, you saw not only Chris Nee with Knowles 247, but Ryan Wallace with Kansas State Insider as well put in his crystal ball. So all indications pointed to, hey, this guy is going to be a Sooner. Now, a lot of people might be asking themselves why a lot of OU people are excited about Boganowski, because they don't necessarily get why, we're so hyped up about this kid. And ideally, here's the deal. I talked about this last night. This kid does not play in Junction City, Kansas. Say he plays in Texas. Maybe Michael Boganowski is a top 150 player. Michael Boganowski is that kind of talent. Michael Boganowski is a guy that, in his school, he's been able to do it at the wide receiver position a little bit. You've seen him being able to catch those passes, but then on the defensive side of the ball, where he's listed as a linebacker, but the dude can play safety as well, which is, I think, what Oklahoma was recruiting him for. Michael Boganowski is a guy that I think he's just one of those elite athletes. He's one of those elite talents. And when you watch his film, which I'm trying to get pulled up for you guys here, when you guys take a look at his film and you watch the tenacity that he plays with, and you see just how good he is on the field and how much he's flying around, you can see why this staff and why anybody that has covered Michael Boganowski is so excited. So Michael Boganowski is a guy, I don't expect him to come into Oklahoma and play cheetah. That's not where I think Michael Boganowski fits with the Oklahoma Sooners. You do believe they're going to try to probably get him at safety. Now, does that mean that he'll never play linebacker for Oklahoma? Probably not, right? Maybe if it just doesn't work out at safety or the safety room is too deep and he's needed a linebacker, maybe he's a guy that can switch over into that room. But this was a dude that really was a consensus 3-star across the board. I think Rivals had him as a 4-star, the number 17th overall linebacker in that class. But this is a guy that you would expect that as his senior year goes on, Michael Boganowski is going to continue to rise through the rankings. So continuing to show you guys here just a little bit of the sophomore highlights. I couldn't find necessarily junior ones unless you went through and broke them down game by game, and I didn't necessarily want to do that. But just even as a sophomore, you see his ability to get in there, make the hits, read the coverage, and I think that's something that, hey, we've missed that from Oklahoma. And when you got Brent Venables here to Oklahoma, he really made a how do I say it, right? He made it an emphasis to go out here and get guys that are able to play like this. And that's no knock on the former players. There was just something missing with the previous regime. So Michael Boganowski ends up committing to the University of Oklahoma, the whole 6'2", 195 pounds. And the question is, where does Oklahoma go at this point? Because although he doesn't boost you in the recruiting rankings a whole lot, only brings you up to 273.83, you are still left at number 7 behind Florida State in the recruiting rankings, who's at 274.86. Oklahoma still has targets on their board. We've talked about it. Eddie Pierre-Louis, the offensive lineman, who you've seen the crystal ball and predictions flow in for him as well to Oklahoma. He'll be on campus this weekend. You've got Grant Bricks, the other 4-star offensive lineman that so many people have been watching for. I think you're going to see a lot of people start to focus their attention on this offensive line and how can Bill Bedenbaugh wrap it up. Now, additionally, Oklahoma is still looking at guys like Devon Jordan, who Jay over at Unfair Sports and myself tonight will be out at Edmond Santa Fe watching the Edmond Santa Fe Union game, catching a glimpse of not only the two Sooner commits in Bergen Kaisar and Josh Isosa, but looking at Devon Jordan and maybe even some other future potential recruits for the University of Oklahoma. So if you'll be out at that game, we'd love to catch up to you there. But when you look at the class for Oklahoma, really solid in 2024. You don't necessarily have to go out there and land 2 or 3 linebackers. You did that the year before, although it would have been nice to get a Sammy Brown or a Peyton Pierce, right? You have a Sammy Omosigo, a Lewis Carter, a Phil Picciotti, a Connor Neer in that linebacker room. So the linebacker room is in good shape. Not worried about the one linebacker that they have in James Nesta. They have freaking 5 wide receivers. Now, Ivan Carrion, it's still out, right? Is he going to play tight end or is he going to play wide receiver for Oklahoma, or is he going to be a little bit more of a hybrid guy? Only time's going to tell. When that guy gets on campus, we'll find out a little bit more. But ultimately for Oklahoma, they're going to finish out 2024 strong. They've already got a great start to 2025. You just saw Marcus James, the 4-star athlete out of Carl Albert High School, teammates with Kevin Sperry, announce that he has this top 5, and he's about to announce his decision on November 2nd. So Oklahoma's 2025 class, it's heated up. And there's guys that haven't really publicly announced, but, you kind of expect them to be in this class that, hey, you know what? Whatever Oklahoma can do there, they're just going to continue to add and continue to build wealth. So, guys, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are just around this 2024 class and what Oklahoma is doing there, because they get another one. And this is one where it was kind of dragging out. A lot of people were wondering, is this kid going to be a Sooner? Is he going to be a Wildcat? Ultimately, you see Venables, Ted Roof, and this staff, hey, they went out. They're getting the guys that they want. So drop down the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are around the 2024 cycle specifically. But when it comes to the 2025 cycle, I want to hear some of your guys' predictions. Obviously, we have Marcus James coming up. You have Chase Lofton, the 4-star tight or the 3-star tight end, coming to campus this weekend. You also have Michael Fasusi, the 5-star offensive lineman, right? So I want to hear some of your guys' predictions about who you think Oklahoma is going to land in the 2025 cycle, because, hey, Oklahoma, they might land 3 straight top 5 classes. So again, normal housekeeping. If you haven't already, hit that like and hit that subscribe button.